Now we're ready to install our clutch lever and handle grip. Now your clutch lever goes on as so. They are snug. Sometimes you can wiggle them. Sometimes they need a little tapping. They are delicate, made out of aluminum alloy, so you can't beat them with a regular hammer. I personally use a rubber mallet. Work around it a little bit. It slides right on the handlebar. And there we go. Now I'll take Mr. Handlebar grip. As you can hear, the sound changed, which meant it was all the way on. Now I will place that and tighten up the set screw. Now we'll need the clutch cable, and in your bag of supplies there should be 2 springs. We'll need those in just a moment. Right now we will pull a little of the cable out. It goes up in its little pocket there, stretches down to here. You have to have those lined up. Then move that. You can adjust that in a bit, but right now you want to move it so it doesn't pop out on you. We will route the cable however you want your cable to go, and I will show you where the springs go. Okay, your big spring slides over the cable and the cable sleeve. It is a protector for the heat. Now your cable itself will feed through that fitting. Slide your spring down. As you notice, it keeps the cable off the engine. The engine could get hot enough to melt it if it was firmly pressed against it, so it's a good idea to install your heat spring. On this side of the bike, you'll need the long, thin spring. It is the spring to help your clutch arm return after being applied. Now this particular bike, and that just slides through there like so. Now this bike comes with the set screw. I am not a big fan of the set screw. This is just my opinion. They strip too easily, so I would purchase, if it did not come with one, your cable lock. They never slip, they never let you down. Take all the slack out of your cable. Snug the screw down to lock the cable. And now you should be able to operate your clutch with your lever. Next, we're going to install our throttle assembly. So you'll need this part from your bike and your throttle grip with the cable attachment. Take the 2 screws out of the top of that. Now this takes a little tidbit more effort than the clutch cable, because we have to drill a hole in the handlebars, because as if you hopefully you can see, there is a set pin. So when it sits on the handlebar, it locks it from spinning. So we're going to have to drill that. Now I'll show you the easiest way I have found to measure and get that in the right spot. Okay, what I do in this case is I slide my throttle grip all the way on. I use a paint pen myself, but if you have nail polish, a marker, any kind of paint, I put a little paint on that stud that's sticking out. Got a little much there, but that's okay. I need it to mark. So I slide it all the way down, and then I will pull it back just a 1/16 of an inch. Set that on there. Press it on the handlebar a little bit. And that gives me my dot and my spot that I have to drill the hole. Now that I have my hole drilled in the handlebar, as you can see, for the set pin, it's time to attach the throttle cable to the throttle assembly housing. And it pokes through there. And screws on. Okay, get our wire straightened back out. I find that about halfway is adequate. You can give it an extra turn if you want for good measure. And screw your jam nut up there. And now we will get our throttle, feed the end in its spot. It lays inside that groove. Hopefully you can see that clearly. And we will slide our handlebar assembly together. Now we'll take our top half with the set pin. Locate our spot. It goes right together. You can notice it doesn't turn. Put our screws through the top. Get our nut in the bottom. Snug it up so it doesn't come apart on me. Now we have throttle. Easily snaps back like it's supposed to. I will install my other bolt and nut. All right, now our throttle is ready to ride. Now it's time to mount our CDI. This is what gives our spark plug its electricity to spark. So we should have our CDI, our bracket, 2 nuts and 2 bolts, and we'll find our spot on the frame where to mount it. Okay, so you found a place to mount your CDI. On this particular bike, it wasn't going to fit on the fat bar, so I chose to put it up here, out of the way. Won't be bumped or hit, so that's a good spot for it. Now we'll take our spark plug wire, feed it through there, and press it down on our spark plug. All right, that is down as far as it goes. Okay, now this particular magneto is giving us 3 wire option: a blue, a black, and a white. Some of the colors may change, but they still all operate the same. Now I'm going to use the black wire to the black, obviously, and I'm going to put the blue wire to the blue. Now this third wire is a power wire. That's why I have my tape and my scissors. I'm not going to chop the end of it off, but I am going to take a piece of tape because if it hits any bare metal when the engine's running, it will short it out, which could damage the magneto or prevent the bike from running because it will be a dead short. Now, some people use those to power an auxiliary headlight or some other electronic device. I personally don't use them. That's up to you. But you definitely want it covered so it does not arc on any of the bare metal of the frame or the engine. Now we will take our kill switch wires coming from our throttle assembly. Now these colors don't match, they never do, don't know why. But we will take the green wire, and it doesn't matter which way you hook these up. As long as they are hooked together, when you push the button, it will short out the wires and stop the engine from running. So we're going to take our green to our blue. That one coincidentally has black with a white tracer. So we're just going to keep all of our black wires black. All right. Now I personally take a tiny piece of tape, nothing big, don't need to wrap it 2 or 3 times, just a tiny piece. Although these have the rubber protectors, as you can see, I will put just a little smidge of tape on my connectors. One, that'll keep them from coming loose if it ever happens to be tugged upon. And if it ever comes in contact with metal, it has something between it so it doesn't short out like the white wire. Okay, and that is how you do your magneto. Now, some magnetos don't come with the third wire. Some do, some don't. You never can tell what the manufacturer is going to send you when they send you the motor kit, including mine. Some do, some don't. But if you have the white wire, just tape the white wire up. And if you're going to put it in a harness or however you're going to fasten your wires, just put it with them. It'll be just fine. All right then. Our CDI is mounted. Our wires are connected with a little dab of tape just to ensure quality. Everything's tightened up. Our spark plug boot is installed on our spark plug. I personally use wire wrap for my wires. It ensures they're not going to touch any metal. Keeps a little of the weather elements off of them in addition to. So I'm a fan of that. If you'd like a roll, we can send you a roll. Just go to our website at ecotransgaspoweredbicycles.com and point and click and we'll send you a roll. It does help keep your wires out of the elements and from getting tugged on or touched by anything a wire can get touched by. Okay, we got one more step, and that is install our fuel tank and fuel line. And you will be pretty much ready to roll. Getting close. You've made it to the last step. The gas tank, or petrol tank, or fuel tank, whatever you want to refer to it as. So out of your kit, you'll pull your gas tank, your 4 nuts, bolts, and lock washers, 2 brackets, gas cap, fuel line and filter, and your fuel valve to turn off and on your fuel. Also, in your bag of parts, there should be a neoprene washer that goes on your fuel valve to keep your valve from leaking. And then we'll just lightly screw that into your fuel tank. I'll get a wrench and tighten it down, and it's ready to go on the bike, which just sits on your upper bar. Clamps go on as such. Put your nuts and bolts on and snug it down. That's what we're going to do next. All right, we have our gas tank mounted. Be careful when you're tightening these studs. They are delicate, so you don't need a 3/8 drive air ratchet on those. Do those by hand. Just make the gas tank snug so it doesn't move. That's all that's necessary for it. Now we're down to the last tidbit before the big test ride. The fuel line and fuel filter. So I will slide my fuel line on my fuel valve. See where I want my fuel filter to be. Right there looks like a good spot. Now just an FYI on the fuel filter. Not all fuel filters are directional. So if you put this on this way, it will still function the same way if you put it on that way. I've argued that point with people before. You can have your fuel run through the filter first and then into the fuel filter reservoir, which there is a tiny magnet in some. This one has a tiny one inside of it, just in case any metallic debris should make it through the filter. It catches it so it does not go into your carburetor and damage your engine. Same way if you put it on this way. The fuel filter fills up the reservoir first. Any metallic particles floating around in the fuel will stick to the magnet. Then the fuel goes through the filter and feeds your carburetor. Myself, I personally like the fuel to be filtered before it gets to the reservoir. If anything should get through the reservoir into that, the magnet will catch it. But my reservoir will always be full of fuel to feed my carburetor. So that is why I choose personally this way to install my fuel filter. That part is entirely up to you. In my personal opinion, neither way is wrong. I've ran them both ways just to test my own personal theory, and they worked perfect either way. Make sure that is all the way on. I do give myself a little slack. Now I'll attach that to the inlet on my carburetor. Make sure it goes all the way down so it seals properly. There you have it. Now in your kit, they do not send you any type of fuel line clips. I don't know why, but nobody does. Now you can go to your local lawnmower store and get your little spring clips. They seal just fine without, but I like a little extra assurance in case it should ever get bumped. I don't want my fuel line coming loose, so I personally use small ties to give it a little extra security for my fuel line getting bumped and sliding down on me. I don't want gasoline on my hot engine, nor do I want any gasoline on my person. So this is a small precaution to take to ensure that you don't get a gas bath ever. And pull it snug. And then I just trim them. And like I said, it just gives me a little extra security for my fuel line being secure. Congratulations, you made it to the end. Your bike is assembled properly. Now you're ready to take it outside and take it for its first test run. Don't forget, you have to mix your 2-cycle oil and your gasoline. That is massively important in a 2-cycle bike. If you forget that step, all this work will be for nothing because you'll be repairing that engine in the first 5 minutes. So make sure you have your 2-cycle gasoline mix. Okay, well, once again, congratulations. You made it to the end. Now your bike's ready to go. I hope this series helped folks out that stumbled upon it when they're assembling it themselves. Never done one before, didn't have anybody ask any questions. Like I said in the beginning and a couple other chapters ago, some bikes do vary on how you have to assemble a part here and there. I hope I covered that to give you some food for thought. Be safe. The bikes are dangerous. If you get out there and you're not used to it and you merge out in traffic, I always suggest to new customers, get out in a subdivision or a big empty parking lot. Get familiar with your bike. Also, I have some videos on how to start and operate your bicycle. Everything to help you out. There's also a video on there how to properly mix your your oil and gas mix to ensure you do that correctly so your motor lives a long time and you get thousands and thousands of miles out of your motorized bike. All right. Well, I hope that helped everybody out. I hope you enjoy riding your new motorized bike, the one you built yourself, and I hope to see you in the future. So I appreciate it if you like and subscribe. If you know anybody that's building a bike, needs a little help, maybe you can forward this video series to them, and it'll help to get them going too. All right. Thank you for watching.